welcome to Wild Cottage. My name is Susan and I live here in the hills of County Clare in the west of Ireland with my partner Tom, my bonus son, and our dogs Mimi and Sheppy. And this is my crafting podcast, which is mainly knitting. There's some crochet and spinning as well. I have just not long recovered from COVID, so there have not been a lot of videos. I don't think I've recorded in a month or so. We'll see what you end up getting. It might be a conglomerate of a few things. But I see we have, several new subscribers. Thank you very much and welcome. And I hope you continue to enjoy. I guess you watched something and enjoyed it, so you subscribed. So yeah, let's see what I can put together for you now before I get up. I keep saying, I'm going to have a real podcast, but I'll have a real podcast soon. I've actually made a lot of things over the past while. And so I've done knitting and crochet and spinning, so I'm excited to show you.
So here is my finished golden hour shawl. Pardon for my voice. By Andrea Mowry. Out of all the different farm yarns that I showed you in my looking towards autumn video, it's quite modified. I'm going to wash it and measure. First I'm going to measure it and then I'm going to wash it and see how much it grows. But you can see I'm in the full autumn mode. I just want to be clear, I was in shopping way before I got COVID, so I was not sick and shopping. Getting some underwear at Penny's, and that's a bit of a smudge on it now because we've been using it, but they had these lovely tea towels out for autumn, so yep, I did a purchase. I'm ready for autumn, and let's see that. So there's the cloudy sky, and it's sun on and off, which much one of the swallows we hadn't been having for quite some time. But it's sun, beautiful sun, then wind, and then rain. So it's very autumnal feeling, although it's nice and mild. But also, so we've been harvesting tomatoes left, right, and center. So we've been using those, and you can see I've been harvesting the hazelnuts close right here on the cottage acre bit by bit, harvesting them when they're still kind of green and then letting them ripen. Before, it's mainly the jay. I mean, the red squirrel comes up and gets them as well, but the jays really love them. They're up there straight away. And then, and of course, the plums. We've been eating a lot of plums. Plum tree is absolutely full of them. And of course, there are a lot of damsons as well, but you have to cook them up like into jam, or I've made damson ice cream. You have to add some sweetener with that. And you can dye with them as well. So far, I haven't found great success, but every year can be different because you can get a pink with the fruit, but we just haven't been successful. Last year it was tried, but that doesn't mean it won't happen at some point. And the orchids are really flowering. And of course, there are loads of cabbages out there, red and green. The squash is growing like bonkers. Yeah, so there's other things as well. So we are eating our own veg every single day still. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to, pardon me, hold on, start over. So also what I'm going to do today is I'm going to wind these two up. I showed you these Halloween yarns in the Looking Towards Autumn little video I did. The ones from Dye Candy, The Trick. And I was watching the Rachel Ray Fiber Arts. She's here in Ireland as well. And she does a whole lot of cross stitch, which is motivating me. Although I don't tend to do a lot of cross stitch, I'm more drawn towards embroidery. But just those needle arts, I enjoy watching her. She did a whip parade. And in that one at the start, she mentioned our Minnie Mal, Mary Minnie Mal 23 that I'm doing with Linda for the fun of it, which made me really happy. And then she's going to take part. Rachel is. And I was also then, of course, tempted because I've been thinking, what will I make with my Halloween yarns this year? And Rachel is starting a cowl of her own, a knit along for the sorrel, summer sorrel, the short sleeve and fingering. And I'm gonna join in because I've been wanting to do that. I just have never done it. So I went and bought the pattern and I'm going to join in with these. I think that will be fun. So yeah, I'll wind those up. Okay, let's have a little look at what I'm actually working on at the minute. Um, so I'm working on, again, for the Merry Minnie Mouse 23, I'm working on my Vroom Vroom shawl, which is a beautiful knit pattern by Cheryl Cox. And I'm using a mini set, the Pheasants colorway from Robin's Promise yarn. Let me try to fix this color. So this is some of the mini set from the Robin's Promise, the Pheasant mini set, and these are the Mayflower mohair. And I haven't, you can see I haven't gotten super far, but there it is. And then these are some lovely little wooden stitch markers sent to me got by a very kind viewer in Australia. And she sent a project bag, and I believe it was her that had, it was either her or Yvonne, sent me these just little great scissors, and they have a case. These have gone everywhere. They went to the Clodagh Heritage Day Festival with me, and they saved the day when there were no scissors, but I had these little ones. Anyways, they're so handy. So I'm working on that. I'm working on the Soleoto top that I just showed you. I've decided what I'm going to do with my Gayest Crew jumper, the pattern by Brandy Cheyenne Harper that I used in her class on Skillshare. That I did the class because I wanted to see how the class was, to tell you all. I've tried it on, and I'm this way with several of my jumpers. They look really nice on me in the short sleeve. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and bind it off there. The yarns I've used actually are a Hobie gray tweed, and it's just a big fat single, and I've held it double with two other like fat mohairs that I got at Hobie. This this here, that this is the brand, and I got it, on a bulk discount, and also with like 10% or so off extra from doing the Hobie bingo. It's 150 meters in the 50 grams, and it's 60% kid mohair and 40% acrylic. And I'd say, like, when you touch it in here, it's nice. I am not sensitive at all, so I would say you would want to not, probably most people or a lot of people wouldn't want to wear that next to skin. I mean, it was a good buy because I needed a bulky in order to do this. What I'm actually trying to say here is that even though it's a mohair, it's really not that soft, probably because of all the acrylic in it. I'm not certain, but I just needed a fat mohair for this project, so I was trying to make a bulky weight yarn, but it's not soft. But like, yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I'd say it's not next to skin soft, but for most people, but I'm absolutely fine with it. So yeah, I'm going to bind that off and just have a short sleeve, and I'll talk more about that when I'm done. So that's a nearly finished whip. My other whip I showed you briefly, I think, is my sock. And I finished the ribbing there. Look, so you can see the pattern better there. Isn't that lovely? So this is the neck, and I have to ask Amelia how to say that, neck and sock by Amelia Style. It's going to be color work, and I'm going to have musical notes on it. And this sock is going to be in this colorway on the main body of the navy. And then I'll do like the heels and toes in this second sock, be a little bit different. Well, this should do for the cuff. That will be the same. And then a slightly different shade of the Fine Leaf Fibers Blazing Heat set yarns. And then this is just a thrifted one that I got. And I don't know what that is. That could be, I got a little rainbow mini set a couple years back from Dystopic Fibers over in Glasgow. Might be that. So that's another Merry Minnie Mouse game, or Merry Minnie Mouse project. And I've decided, so when I finish that sock, then I'll cast on my next project, which will be the Editing Susan here. I still want to do that sock by This Handmade Life, but I really want to do some oak-based projects. And check out Frock Knits, her latest episode where she talks about the mythology of the oak and all in Ireland. But aside from that,
I think I'm going to cast on the oak sock from by Sam of an Irish knitting podcast, and I'll put a little picture of that up here. By This Handmade Life in those pictures. So when that's done, I'm going to cast on that. When this is done, I'm going to cast on my summer sorrel that I'm doing in DK weight and doing sweater math. So here's a quick look at the yarns. That's a chanterelle season from Fine Leaf Fibers, coming up to the 2 fingering weights from Die Candy that I'm going to hold together. You saw earlier this video a fingering weight called Elvira from Die Candy, and the very top there you're getting ready to see is the Fire Pit colorway from Fine Leaf Fibers, and I'm going to hold double with the Elvira to make all DK weights, and I'm doing sweater math, so I'll be able to do the pattern with these just because I'm going to be difficult like that. And oh yeah, so also what I'm working on, I've just started making some crochet pumpkins. I'm just following a YouTube video. I've made a knit. Oh, sorry about that blowing out. My goodness. Here we go. Yeah, so I've started making some crochet pumpkins and just following along with a video on YouTube, which I'll link, using different of the Hobie yarns in different ways. So that's pretty fun. And I'll show you that. So then what is next on my list? So yeah, so here the crochet jumper that I'm going to do. Sorry, editing Susan has to jump in again because obviously I did all that. I was still suffering from COVID after effects and all. Those yarns are the going left to right. The first one is from Babel's Yarns. It's called I Love My Brick. The other 3 are from Megs & Co. Yarn Company. 2 are, I believe, called Autumn Acorn, and 1 is called Pumpkin. I probably just cast that on. I won't have to necessarily finish anything because I finished the golden hour shawl. So I'll say I can cast that on if I want because I finished the shawl, and I'll cast on that crochet project. This is my total mindless project. Again, it's another one for the Merry Minnie Mouse 23. It's my minis that I got in must have been 2020 because I only started knitting November 19. Yeah. This is a set from Giddy Aunt Yarns and DK Very Soft Merino, and then the mohair. So I've done the first color mini. I've just started adding this one in, and I'm holding it double with that. And so I will start. Apologies for the light here in this dark corner, but I'll go into this set holding these double with themselves so that it will make a bit more of an impact with the DK weight yarns. And then this is the very start of the triangle shawl where the blocks of color are biggest, and it'll be one corner. And then, as the triangle gets wider, the stripes get smaller, and they'll also go into getting darker. Hello friends, just a quick little check-in here. I'll show you what I'm working on. Sorry about the noise for the ceiling fan, but we're having a little mini heat wave here in Ireland, so it's very warm. I mean, in this bedroom actually at the minute it's 22 degrees Celsius. I think that's about like 71, 72 Fahrenheit, and it's 77% humidity, and it's very warm. I mean, for us that's really warm. With the humidity, it's very close. So I'm just hanging out in here. So I do not have knitwear on. I just have a tank top. What I'm doing is, oh yeah, and so I finally tested negative from the COVID. Starting to get my energy back. I'm starting to be able to look at Instagram a little bit without feeling dizzy, so we'll see how that goes. Realize that Linda, for the fun of knit, has got a podcast episode that went up 3 days ago. I completely missed all that. But anyhow, I'll show you some of the things that I'm working on now. If you're doing the D-Del Cow, M-Cow, Clue 1 is ahead. Don't look. Oh, I started this. So this is a mystery knit along from Audrey. oh, I don't know how to say her last name. Her she's a French designer Beaudrago, or I'll put it on the screen. I'm not sure how to say it. And this is her detail mystery knit along. It's a cowl, color work cowl. And I started that. The first clue came out the 1st of September, and there'll be one clue a week to like the very beginning of October, which is the Stephen West knit along, which I bought the pattern. I've chosen my yarns. I have stash yarns. I'll show you that at some point. But yeah, this is knitting up really nicely. And so I've been working on that. What I'm using are their yarns I ordered for this project from Drops, from Winnie the Wool Wagon here in Ireland. It's the Drops Flora in a red and in a light pink. And yeah, I can go into that more when I do a regular podcast, whenever that might be. But I've set that aside for the moment. I decided what I'll do is I'll watch Linda's podcast, and I'm going to wind up some of this yarn, yarn that I spun. This is from a very fun bat that I got from Dye Candy. So I spun that up. I think I'm just going to wind it and use it as a singles because it's very unique, and I'll make something nice out of that. We'll see what my yardage is. And then this, I love this now. I was practicing my long draw and I was trying to do thick and thin, which I did. This is, hold on one second, let me get the card. Okay, so this is from Kim at Youthful Fiber Mill, and I joined her fiber club in October 21 when I was over in the US helping my dad after his surgery and all. And this was, so we had, it's a East Frisian dairy sheep's wool, and then there was a very special tea. And this is my first subscription box, and I got it while I was there. And it was, Halloweeny. So it's the three colors, the white and the dark, which are the natural colors. And then there's a bit of like orangey, like a burnt kind of orange in there as well. 3 strands is the way she did it in a roving. And I wanted to keep, that very stripy look and just, yeah, and have thick and thin bits and practice my long draw, my woolen spin. It's a short enough fiber, so it probably wasn't like a long draw. I was practicing my woolen spinning, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out, and it's actually quite soft. And so I'm going to just keep that as a singles as well, because it's going to be thick and thin and it'll be fun, kind of like an art yarn. I'm not certain what I'm going to do with that yet. I think it would be really fun as part of a hat anyway. And this club, so I did this club for a while, and then I cancelled it because I wasn't going to the US for a wee while. And then when I was there last February, I joined it again. So it's been coming there to where my dad is. And I'm super excited when I go in November to see all my yarns. It's a really great club. Like she just tells you, she gives you so much information about the things, and it's, local breeds, often close to her there in Oregon, or, American. It could be mixes, and some of it's dyed and some of it's natural, and I really highly recommend, I recommend this fiber club. And also she has a podcast I really enjoy, especially if you're a sheepy person, like if you enjoy spinning and then knitting and doing things with your wool. But she also has a fiber farm, so she has some sheep and she has some alpaca, and, so she does things on farm life and all. And she teaches spinning as well. So I really enjoy her podcast. So, and just while I'm, I guess, talking about spinning, something I did also spin up over the past couple weeks is I just had this merino and silk blend from Grace at Babel's Yarns, that when she was still dyeing yarn, and she's just local to me there in Limerick, I had bought this braid from her. And so I've spun that up. So I'll probably chain ply it, or I'm going to look through my stash and see what else I might spin that will look nice with it. Well, I mean, I love loads of white. So I haven't really kind of decided. So it's just sitting there on its bobbin waiting for a mate. And then I'd also spun this up here. That's the end of the spin there. This was just a merino, 100% merino. This was something I spun a while ago, and I was finishing it off. I think it was kind of before I got the COVID, but when Tom had it. So, yeah. So again, I'll probably just ply that with some white or see what else I end up spinning and what I might do with that. I think what I'm going to spin next is this. So this is really fun, and I'm kind of getting into my Halloweeny yarns. And you know, I have zero idea what this is or where I got it. So don't know. I cannot remember, and I don't seem to have the tag for it anywhere. That's some cedar to just help keep away the moths, because I saw a bad moth in here last night. I certainly did, so I had a total freak out. One of those little moths. It could possibly be a clothes moth. Just flew in somehow, I guess, from the open window. But anyway, so that's what I'm working on at the minute. And today in the post, got some happy mail. So I'm going to start reading this book, and it sounds super, super interesting. It's written by Jane Cooper, and I was actually sent this book to be able to read it and talk to you guys about it if I wanted, and absolutely I do, because I was like, this is a perfect fit for my podcast. So the publisher sent me this book, and it arrived yesterday, and just a little bit of the blurb is: The Lost Flock is the story of a remarkable little horned sheep known as the Orkney Boree. I might be saying that wrong. And the passionate and determined woman who moved to one of Scotland's wildest islands to save them. So it's just about her journey. She found out about these sheep, and then she moved to the Orkney Islands and got, I think, one of the last remaining flocks. So it's very kind of interesting, especially because I'm very interested in our Irish Clodagh sheep, which was, it's a very rare breed now, and they're breeding it back and bringing it back along, and I'm trying to help out with that a little bit when I'm able. Yeah, I haven't done anything with it the past 3 weeks between Tom being sick and me being sick. Anyway, so this just is so fascinating, and I'd be interested to kind of read any parallels with our Clodagh sheep here in Ireland, and super interested to read this book, and I will be telling you all about that. So those are just a few of the things that have been happening in the past while. So I will catch you up with, there's been a lot of things happening knit-wise on and off. I'll catch you up with that bit by bit. Take care, friends. Talk to you soon.